Yes. If you have questions, get up and go stand over there, I guess. So.
Okay. So being the creepy guy on the set who's new to television, how did that influence your relationship with the rest of the cast, social?
Oh, you know what?
Any problems?
There's only, if I understood your question, it was like being the creepy guy. How did they stay away from me and like not want to be? Nah. I mean, you hardly talk to other actors about their characters. Although yesterday at LAX, when I saw Nelson Ellis walking towards me, does anybody know who Nelson Ellis is? Okay, those of you that don't, he's on True Blood. He plays Lafayette. Yeah. And he like walked up to me and he goes, "You just creepy man." God, he's just creepy man. I just love watching it. And I'm like, what? I was just we had a power failure in my condo unit, and my DVR went out on Sunday night of all nights. Tell me about it. So, and then they were fixing it the following night when I had the replay set up to get this week's episode of True Blood, and so it only recorded like 20 minutes of it. I'm like, God, I gotta see this before I go. So finally we got it, and it was just the night before we went on the flight, and I said, I was just watching you last night going, because he really is the kind of actor that adds so much to his character, and they give him so much leeway to do it. You don't really talk about your character with other people in the cast because it just isn't relevant. I mean, you'll rehearse and you'll shoot, and it's all about capturing the moment. Whatever happens before, after, outside the frame, doesn't really matter. Like at one point I had to have somebody hand me I guess the writing stick is the best way to describe it, that big long quill that Samuel had the whole season. I don't know if you remember the episode where I was thrown through the air and landed on his table and crushed everything, including the sketch of Dawn that he was making. But I then held that pen up against Claire's neck and made her do it because I was getting tired. But somebody had to hand that to me off camera so that I could pull it up into frame, because they were shooting me, from a wide shot to a close up. Anyway, you don't know that there's a PA kneeling nearby that's going to reach up and hand you but that's the truth is the truth that the audience sees only. So the other actors and I, we don't talk about that. It's just a technical nature of doing the shoot and like that. And in fact, everybody that I've worked with, I've become really great friends with, and being able to spend my first 72 hours with Jessalyn Gilsig, kissing her. I kept flubbing my lines, I'll be honest with you. I knew them cold, but I kept flubbing my lines around that kiss so that we had to do it over and over again. Sorry. It's not every day to kiss Jessalyn Gilsig. So no, it didn't affect anything. Long answer, no. Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Okay, so being on Heroes, did you ever think to yourself if you could have any superpower, which would it be?
People have asked that question an awful lot. When I was a kid, this is really, I can't believe I'm admitting this. I was goofy as a kid. I was really goofy as a kid. I fell in love with my downstairs neighbor at age 4. This really good-looking woman at age 4, and I thought, if I was invisible. What this gentleman just said was, that's where the creepiness comes from. Sorry, I'm having a moment. Anyway, I guess there's a thing about getting from place to place quickly, teleportation or flying, but then what do you do with that? And there are certain things that are intimated by having a power. For example, every time Nathan took off with Peter flying, that requires a certain amount of tensile strength that is built into that character. You have to be able to, manage a 220-pound guy. Well, actually, Milo's probably about 104 pounds, but in the series, he's like, he's a sack to load around. And so if you're picking somebody like that up and carrying them, or saving Claire by hanging outside her window, sort of levitating, being able to handle that is, there's an amount of strength associated with that as well. And so I think in certain cases, if you're able to make things happen, or like if we all actually had powers, there'd be laws about how we use them, just like there are laws about driving, I think. Like how many of you have read Soon I Will Be Invincible? Raise your hand nice and high. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Okay, your homework from this session is to either, if you can't afford it, go to the library, check it out, Soon I Will Be Invincible, or buy it. It's an awesome book, and it's written from the perspective of a supervillain who is cooling his jets in jail, and it's just sort of talking about the way life is as a supervillain. Very casual, very, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. It's like if our lives were systematized like they are around driving and eating. I think too much. I'm telling you, I think too much. I think about how much of our lives and the businesses that have been built in the world are built around the necessities, the basics, the really low on the Maslow hierarchy of needs, like the hotel industry for us to sleep, the restaurant industry for us to eat, all of these like businesses that have grown. Think if we had superpowers, there'd be some sort of maintenance that occurs to keep the powers in good shape. There'd be flabby villains who don't do real well with their puppet mastering. They miss and they hit somebody they didn't mean to hit, and all of a sudden I'm having sex with this guy or Siler. So I think about these things all the time, but never about my character. My character's world exists on the page, and I think that if I thought too much about it, it would sort of begin to stray it from what the writers had intended and what Tim intends for the series. So, I don't know. I mean, flying would be fun, being invisible. At some point, it's like, for those of you guys who think that when two chicks are together by themselves and they want to invite you into the party, no. They want you to go away. They want to be by themselves. They don't need a third person looking in at them. It's not. But we have this fantasy that that's the case, right? Same thing with being a superhero, I would think. Nobody really cares. In fact, they want to put you away if you've got a bad power or you use your power for evil. We get this fantasy that, we can control the world. No, because there's a bunch of other people that would do the same thing, and they'd be vying for control of the world with you. And who wants to get into that kind of competitive business after the .com bust? I don't. So, I don't know. I guess being virile to the end of my days, that would be my superpower. Isn't that a great power? Now, how do you publicize that? Ladies. Hello, ladies. How are you? Fantastic. I'm on a horse. By the way, I see Isaac all the time in Los Angeles. He's like one of us. He's a working actor. I am so happy for him, for the Old Spice series and the Emmy. He won the Emmy for Best Commercial Actor. It's awesome.